So it says we're live for now. And this Tuesday morning, we'll be looking at the Kosambi Sutta, the teaching to the Kosambians. And they were, this is a well-loved sutta because it starts out with the monks in deep dispute, and then the Buddha gives this beautiful teaching on how to live in harmony. And it has a number of ways that the teaching is talked about. And I learned it years ago. It's a 6 principles of cordiality. But when we get to that point, we'll see there's more than one way that people have been translating, and there's more than one idea about the background story, what happened. And you can look at the notes if you have the Sutta Central. I will have Sutta Central up, but we're not going to get into the background story because I don't think it's essential to this teaching, other than that the monks finally came to harmony. So could you to share screen?
Share. Where the green is.
Okay.
And then you want to select the one that's the sutta.
Okay.
And share.
And share. Okay.
And see. Okay, yeah, so now this full part of your screen is showing.
Okay. And
you can move it on your screen.
Okay.
To make it more easy to read.
Yeah, I had it set up in a particular way so everybody could see that.
Yeah.
And then the controls, I said like that. Oh, this is why I had it over there.
Got it.
So we're still working out the
tech
issue here. So just getting it lined up there so everyone can see it. Maybe people are on YouTube. I haven't seen anybody in the live audience on Zoom yet. There's Mudita, hooray. So we've got one person live, and then it's being recorded, and perhaps some people are viewing on Zoom.
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is, I'm Aya Sivijana, and Aya Nyanika is here, and when we get a better camera set up, we'll get both of
more than just, I'm lending an ear to this sutta.
Okay. So this is about how to develop harmony. And it starts out with the monks at Kosambi, and they're in deep dispute, arguing. I have to move this a little closer. So I will just start reading. At one time, the Buddha was near Kosambi in Gosita's monastery. Now, at that time, the Mendicants of Kosambi were arguing, quarreling, disputing, continually wounding each other with barbed words. So this is an interesting. It's been translated as verbal darts, and barbed words. It's harsh speech, really sharp speech, barbed words, pointed words, and it's literally a mouth sword. So there were, instead of really debating or discussing something, they were getting into really harmful speech. Let's see if I can get this over a little bit more. So they were speaking harmfully to one another, and they couldn't persuade each other or be persuaded, nor could they convince each other, nor could they be convinced. So they were very much holding on to their views tightly and not budging at all, not willing to compromise or listen to one another. Then a mendicant went up to the Buddha and bowed, sat down to one side, and told him what was happening. So the Buddha addressed one of the monks. Please, monk, in my name, tell those monks that the teacher summons them. Yes, sir, the monk replied. And he went to those monks and said, Venerables, the teacher summons you. So this is a pattern we've seen when something is going on in the Sangha. So a lot of times it's one monk, a particular monk is misbehaving. And in this case, a whole group of monks are misbehaving. And so one monk, out of compassion, goes to the teacher and says, please, we need help. At least one of them was being sensible to seek out help. And there's another incident in Kosambi. It's in the Upakalesa Sutta. And this is where they think it's the same story and with a different ending to it. In the Upakalesa Sutta, the dispute was never resolved, and here we'll see that it is being resolved. So, but in the Upakalesa Sutta, the monks refuse to listen to the Buddha. They just say, "This is our business, never you mind," pretty much, and the Buddha leaves. And then, okay, so I will kind of say how these suttas supposedly dovetail. I have my doubts, and this is my opinion. So, but many believe that this is the final resolution to the dispute that came up in the Kosambi Sutta, I mean the Upakalesa Sutta, sorry, Upakalesa Sutta. So, so these monks did come to the Buddha and listen to him, and in the Upakalesa, if it's the same group, they weren't willing to listen to him at that time. So the monks agreed. They say, those monks replied, yes, Reverend, they replied, and they went to the Buddha, bowed and sat down to one side. The Buddha said to them, is it really true, mendicants, that you have been arguing, quarreling, and disputing continually, wounding each other with barbed words? And this is also typical of when there's something going on in the Sangha and someone or a group has been, or a number of bhikkhus have been called to the Buddha. So he asks them, is it true? Does somebody reported this to me, and is this true? And that you can't persuade each other or be persuaded, nor can you convince each other or be convinced. Yes, sir, they said. It would be kind of hard to lie to the Buddha because he knows people's minds. So they really have to, they'd be foolish not to admit to what they're doing. When you're arguing, quarreling, and disputing continually, wounding each other with barbed words, are you treating your spiritual companions with kindness by way of body, speech, and mind, both in public and in private? So now he's starting an inquiry to them to really think about what they're doing. No, sir. So it seems that when you're arguing, you are not treating each other with kindness. see, I'm just trying to look this, yeah, there's the word meta in here. And the meta is translated often as loving kindness. And I've just clicked on the instant translator here. And it says friendly, benevolent, kind, goodwill, friendliness. Because one's the adjective and the other one. This must be a noun. And goodwill, friendliness, benevolence, basically, what we've heard. That's not anything really quite different in what people are familiar with the word, how it's translated. So he's saying that, when you're arguing with one another, you're not treating each other with kindness. So what exactly do you know and see, you foolish men, that you behave in such a way? And this word here, moga purisa, is foolish, worthless, useless person, stupid person. And Bhante Bodhi, for some reason, translates it as misguided. And that might have been Nyanamoli, actually, who translated it that way, the one who did the original translation of the Majjhima Nikaya that Bhante Bodhi had edited and done some of his own tweaking in the translation. But misguided, I heard a talk by Ajahn Brahman. He was saying that the Buddha was saying that misguided means that you could eventually be guided and change your behavior. But even like someone be acting foolishly, they can certainly change. So I don't think that excludes that. There's also meaning, why don't I see it now? That was empty.
Oh, yeah, moga is empty.
Oh, I don't see it here for some reason.
Futile.
Yeah, it's not on this one for some reason.
It's in the Concise Poly English Dictionary.
I know, I had it up earlier. So I had written it down even. So empty as kind of like hollow, I guess.
Yeah, empty-headed,
Oh,
silly, useless is stupid is the way the one that they got in the.
Yeah, it could be, if it has all those permutations too, it might be like kind of like you're just being foolish, you're being silly, you're being empty-headed. And it also, you don't know what the tone he was using. It could sound really strong, and maybe he was actually being quite strong. But being the Buddha, he knew, at least in this case, it worked. This will be for your lasting harm and suffering. Then the Buddha said to the mendicants, these 6 warm-hearted qualities make for fondness, respect, conducing to inclusion, harmony, unity, without quarreling. Which translation do you have? You have Bhante.
I have multiple up.
You have multiple up. Because this is translated slight different permutations are useful to consider because notes here, but where are they? I have written down qualities that are to be remembered is one translation of this word. And the word here is saraniya. It's Dhamma is qualities or principles of some people. Dhamma sometimes translated as phenomena. In this case, in this context, it's not the overall Dhamma of the Dhamma, which is the truth or the universal truth or law or the teaching of the Buddha. So this is qualities, principles, saraniya, is translated as warm-hearted, polite. Yeah, there's quite a few, but it's so it may have all those kind of when he's using the word, sometimes all the qualities that are used in the translations may actually be part of what he's trying to convey. He often uses words that are rich in meaning. So do you have a
I like gladdening.
gladdening?
It's also got a tone of fit to be remembered.
Fit to be remembered. That's what I said.
I like the gladdening and fit to be remembered combo.
Yeah, so it's something you to hold to your heart. You know, it's fit to be remembered. It's warm-hearted. It's beneficial. Something that's very beneficial and warm-hearted. You would remember, maybe something to that effect.
Warm-hearted is how I practice with it.
But
I like the fit to be. It reminds me, you know, that it's gladdening my heart, and it's fit to be remembered, and it's fit that others remember my actions thus. It's not something I would be embarrassed by.
So, and then the rhetorical question, what, 6?
I'd like to know.
Firstly, a mendicant consistently treats their spiritual companions with bodily kindness, both in public and in private. So the Lord Buddha here is talking about mendicants, but we can take this teaching for all our relationships, you know, in family or in business, you know, any group of people, a team. If you're on some kind of a team or venture together, family, friends, and then also the people who are in this spiritual community working together. Like we were at a paba, a forest cloth offering for the Clear Mountain community, and a group of people all came together to do this celebration. So there's a cooperation amongst people. So firstly, treating each other, but it's coming from yourself, starting with yourself and not worrying about how other people are behaving. That's the mistake. If we're thinking that they should be behaving this way, but how am I behaving? Am I treating people with bodily kindness? So certainly we wouldn't do anything violent, but are we helping out physically? You know, we see somebody struggling physically to do something new. Do we step up and say, "Oh, can I help you with that?" Or making a cup of tea for somebody, doing something that, you know, like to help them out. You know, just washing up their dishes or something, you know.
Help us get to the post office.
So these are bodily acts of kindness, is that doing something that to assist somebody physically, both public and private. So whether other people are around or not, we're you know, I don't want to just like do something nice for Ayurvedic just because other people will see it. Or I'll do something. And there was another point to it, whether they were around, you did something like I tidied up some things or, you know, whether she's or they're witnessing me do it, whether they see that I'm doing it or not.
It's still kind.
Yeah, so I'm still doing this act of kindness for, or maybe no one will know that I did something for the community. You know, like somebody cleaned up and reorganized or whatever it is. So an anonymous person has done something wonderful. So just that what that would do for my heart is important as well as for others. Is it's kind of caring physically, and then this warm-hearted quality makes for fondness and respect, conducing to inclusion, harmony, and unity without quarreling. And do you have another translation of that particular line?
Conduces to cohesion, non-dispute, concord, and unity. To inclusiveness, non-contention, harmony, and unity, and concord, lack of contention, harmony, and unity.
So getting along and not, and the idea of unity and of spirit and cooperativeness. Furthermore, a mendicant consistently treats their spiritual companions with verbal kindness. Furthermore, a mendicant consistently treats their companions with mental kindness. These two go together, I think, because our thoughts precede our speech and our physical actions. But if we try to do the internal verbal kindness, then it comes out in our speech. So speaking kindly to one another, even if we don't agree. I think this is the thing that the barbed speech or the verbal daggers is like, you know, you get really angry and upset and you start attacking. But you think to yourself, well, maybe this person is having a tough day and that's why they're behaving that way. And no matter how they're behaving, I mean, you certainly protect yourself through speech or bodily actions. We need to protect our minds from anger and hostility, and always treat each other with kindness. And that will reflect back. So if we consistently are speaking to somebody with kindness, even if they're rude to us, maybe eventually that'll affect them. If not, at least we're caring for ourselves and the other person. I mean, we're doing the best we can, but we're certainly caring for ourselves. So the mental kindness would be thoughts of loving kindness. If we're just constantly cultivating and using the people in our environment as objects of mental conduct of kindness. Again, this is Mei Tong is in here. This is Meta again, and then Mano Kamam. So this is Kama is action. So we had Wachi Kama, Kamam, Wachi Kamam, and Kaya Kamam is somewhere here. What's that?
Monotayam Vachikamam and
Yeah, it's in there. So So through body, speech, and mind, this is the first three, we treat our companions in the holy life, or family members, or those that we're working with in some way as a team, business, or whatever however we might be with others. These are the first three with kindness, treating each other with kindness and thoughts of well-being. So this continues in this sphere, actually. Furthermore, a mendicant shares without reservation any material possessions they have gained by legitimate means, even the food placed in the alms bowl, using them in common with their ethical, spiritual companions. So this is quite beautiful in a monastic life, and a family life too. This sharing of resources, and I've seen like people on the street that now it's called unhoused, or used to be called homeless, but people I knew who didn't have a permanent place to live, or were on the street, called themselves street people. They share, they have this economy of sharing, whatever. Often, I think the ones that are doing the best are really, they pool their resources. And monastics are supposedly homeless. And this is sharing is really important. Sharing our not holding back, not hoarding things. I remember the feeling of this thing from the alms bowl, where when I was in Thailand, I did go out on alms round, and people put things in our bowl for the day. It's meal. And it had taken us a while, those that were out, before we got back in time. And I had this food in my bowl, and there was like really nice things that people had offered me. And I saw the abbess up at the head of the line, and she was about to take some. They also prepared food at the monastery, so that the ordinary food that was at the monastery. And I remember rushing up with just like such delight and offering what I had before she was able to start ladling into her bowl what was, had been cooked there. I rushed up to offer what I had in my bowl to her. And it felt so wonderful to be able to share like that, and for me to be able to give something, because as a monastic, you don't often have the opportunity to, give materially, but when there's something very nice in that you're able to share that, there's such a wonderful feeling. So to just rejoice in sharing is this really, this is part of goodwill, not holding back, being able to be generous with what you have. Furthermore, a mendicant lives according to precepts shared with their spiritual companions, both in public and in private. Those precepts are unbroken, impeccable, spotless, and unmarred, liberating, praised by sensible people, not mistaken, leading to immersion. So this is beautiful. So the sila, the ethical conduct, they share in common. They have the common monastic code, and so in families, it's wonderful if everybody's keeping it 5 precepts. That's really a support. And ideally, we keep them. We don't break them. says impeccable. That's an interesting, spotless, unmarred, liberating. So this is bringing us a certain kind of freedom from harming one another. And this the 5 precepts is geared towards harmlessness, so freedom from harming others, but it's also liberating. So the mind supports the mind in liberation, and then leading to immersion, and immersion is samadhi. And sila manya gato, with virtue in common. That's the word. Conduct in harmony with, ethical conduct in harmony. So in the Vinaya, the background story said that the monks were arguing about a Vinaya rule, and one monk supposedly broke a rule and was refusing to admit that they had. And so there was a big uproar in the Sangha, people taking sides, and nobody listening to one another. So if one is in agreement of, but what's ethical? If I don't think it's unethical to kill insects, and I start smashing, my spiritual companion would be very distressed. Some may get very angry. And or if I'm stealing and I think it's perfectly fine, something like that. Some people do. They think that that's, and there's gangs and people that feel that that's their, that's their profession. And so they get along as a team. They're doing something not ethically, but they're getting along really well as a team, as thieves or whatever they are. But we want to be in harmony and agreement about ethical issues. Otherwise, there's conflict within a community. Let's see, do you have a different translation for that?
I like the unblotched and unmottled. It makes me think of when we dye our robes.
Oh,
If you don't give it the right amount of attention, and that you stir it so that it comes through.
right, it's uneven.
Yep. If you don't stir it, and so that you're paying enough attention and it's consistent throughout, then it becomes blotched and mottled.
Yeah, and if the cloth is dirty to start with, then it's really uneven.
Very, very hard.
Very hard to get it clean. I'm just tilting this away from them
so
because I can read. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's the sila manya gato. So it's all in harmony with their ethical conduct, and then so it's even it's permeating our being. Our sila is this.
Tie-dye is fine, but you don't want that in your morality.
Okay. So this warm-hearted quality makes for fondness and respect, conducing to inclusion, harmony, and unity without quarreling. I feel like I've skipped something here.
This view, did you do the view?
The view should be here. That's okay.
After you go see immersion ... it's the next one down.
Okay, so when this gets into ellipses, okay, so we have the 3. So to review, the first 3 are through body, speech, and mind, having loving kindness towards our companions in our lives, our families, our spiritual companions, or whoever we're working together with in life. And then there's sharing without reservation, and there's shared ethical conduct. And the last one, furthermore, a mendicant lives according to the view shared with spiritual companions, both in public and private. That view is noble and emancipating and delivers one who practices it to the complete end of suffering. So this cues you into what that view is. The view of right view, and right view is defined, the ultimate right view is the Four Noble Truths in the Noble Eightfold Path, which is encompassed in the Four Noble Truths. Do you have a translation of that, about the that last one, the view shared with the spiritual, both in public and private? I guess it'd be pretty similar.
This one is pretty, the view is noble and emancipating. Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Okay. So this warm-hearted quality makes for fondness and respect, conducing to inclusion, harmony, unity, without quarreling.
Oh, well, Bhante Sudasa's got something quite different wording.
Okay.
Noble, salvific.
What's that?
That's the first, although I can guess what that word, leading to salvation, as my guess, and correctly leads the maintainer of that perspective to the elimination of suffering.
It's just a fancy way of saying it.
It's a fancy way of saying the same thing. I agree.
But some people that might, it sounds
Well,
elevated that way.
What I like is that it correctly leads the one who has this perspective, that maintains this perspective even to the elimination of suffering. So if I continue to set my view, maintain my perspective in this way, then it's noble. So I do like that little phrase, maintainer of that perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd have to look at the Pali.
Versus, and delivers one who practices it.
Okay, so of these six warm-hearted qualities, the chief is the view that is noble and emancipating and delivers one who practices it to the complete ending of suffering. It holds and binds everything together. So this is a common, the common view is like almost like a mission statement or something. Like when you have a business or we may be incorporating. And so one of the things that businesses or communities might have is a mission statement. And so it's not quite like that, but to have the same view that we're heading in the same direction, we're at least we have some on a mundane level, that view, holding that view, understanding that suffering and its cause, and that the end is possible, and to follow the Noble Eightfold Path is that way. So we're all on a journey together on that path. We're not all going off on divergent paths. So that is the sixth. And then furthermore, the Buddha is lovely like this. He'll give a wonderful teaching, and then he'll go on to another group of teachings, which is related. And how does the view that is noble and emancipating, lead one who practices it to the complete ending of suffering. It's when a mendicant has gone to the wilderness or the root of a tree or an empty hut and reflects like this. I and Yannicka had something up, and there's like these, this is called the 7 factors of stream entry. And this translation here doesn't have a section heading, but that, so this is a subdivision from the right view. It's when a mendicant has gone to the wilderness or root of a tree or an empty hut and reflects like this: is there anything that I'm overcome with internally and haven't given up, because of which I might not accurately know and see? So this is a kind of reflection that's really important. If a mendicant is overcome by sensual desire, it's their mind that's overcome. If a mendicant is overcome with ill will, dullness and drowsiness, restlessness and remorse, doubt, pursuing speculation about this world, pursuing speculation about next world, or arguing, quarreling, disputing, continually wounding others with barbed words, it's their mind that's overcome. So this is the 5 hindrances. The first 5 are the 5 hindrances. And then if a person is overcome by the 5 hindrances, they're being blocked from freedom, from samadhi, from the awakening factors. And then there's this pursuing speculation about this world. This would go under the heading of doubt, I think. Pursuing speculation about the next world. And then this may be what people are arguing about, even. Arguing, quarreling, and disputing, continually wounding each other with barbed words. It's their mind that's overcome. So this is ill will would arise with this one, the last one. So these 2 are subsumed into the hindrances. So basically he's talking about someone's reviewing their own mind. Is my mind overcome by these hindrances, any of these hindrances? They understand there's nothing that I'm overcome with internally, and I haven't given up, because of which I might not accurately know and see. My mind is properly disposed for awakening to the truths. This is the first knowledge they have achieved that is noble, transcendent, and not shared with ordinary people. So if the hindrances are completely absent, then you're able to know and see the world. The world is kind of the ordinary way of thinking is supported by these hindrances, or the hindrances support an ordinary view of the world. Like I'll get what if I get what I need, I'll be happy. So this is desire. And if people that I don't want in my life are gone, this is ill will. I'd be happy. So we're seeking happiness in worldly things, trying to solve our problems. So we get overcome by these hindrances, and it blocks our view of things as they actually are. So if we're able to at least subdue the hindrances and abandon them, this is another thing we may be we're not, there's talking about being overcome. So if we notice a little flickering of desire or flickering of ill will, we see it arising and we abandon it or we transmute it somehow. We'll bring up loving kindness if we see aversion coming up, something like that. Then we're not overcome by it. But then we get to a point where they're just not arising, and the possibility of seeing clearly. It's like when I was walking, I didn't realize how I was able. There was a looking out over the inlet. I didn't realize that Mount Rainier was there, and then the clouds. One day it was a clear day, and suddenly I looked up, and there it was. There was Mount Rainier, and it was like, wow! It was like almost a religious experience. So the hindrances are blocking our view. We can't see clearly. So that's important to abandon these hindrances. But so we reflect, and if we see that they're still arising, then there's just more work to be done. That's all, not to beat ourselves up. Furthermore, a noble disciple reflects, when I develop, cultivate, and make much of this view, do I personally gain serenity and quenching? So he's talking about samatha. This is serenity. And then, nibutin. So that's being quenched, put out. Cooling. It's related to nibbana. How do you have, what is another translation for that?
When Bhante Sudaso just puts peacefulness, but that doesn't really land as well for me. Yeah, I think that we're really talking about the quenching of the cooling. Yeah. And I was trying to see what Ivy Horner uses.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite nibbana yet, because he's talking about factors of, but
it leads to.
It's leading to, and also there's a taste of it. The taste of nibbana. So that may be, do I personally gain serenity and quenching? So to a certain degree. And then they understand, when I develop, cultivate, and make much of this view, I personally gain serenity and quenching. So at least to a certain extent.
It's a funny word. Yeah, Ivy Horner turns it into quenchedness. So it's a quality.
It's a quality. Extinguishment of a fire. So this is how nibbana is translated. But interesting, Bhante Sujato has translated as quenching, being quenched, being put out. But as far as like the heat of a fire, and it's burning and it's destructive, it's cooled down. At least when entering this stream, you have at least a glimpse of nibbana.
Yeah, I agree. It's peaceful.
And so,
I wouldn't use that as a translation.
Yeah, it's stronger.
Yeah.
So when I develop it, cultivate, and make much of this view, I personally gain serenity and quenching. So they're reviewing the quality of their mind. So this view itself is helping the peacefulness of the mind. it's not, I'm sitting in samadhi and watching my breath and then coming to stillness. It's talking about considering, contemplating the view, cultivate, make much of this view. So really considering it deeply. This is the second knowledge. Furthermore, a noble disciple reflects, are there any ascetics or Brahmins outside of the Buddhist community who have the same kind of view as that I have? So this is kind of a difficult one. And they don't, the word Buddhist community does not appear in the Pali, but it's assumed. And the way Ajahn Brahm explained this is, he said, what they're talking about is the Noble Eightfold Path. And if you have, and the Four Noble Truths. So this is unique to the Buddhist dispensation. And anyone, you don't have to call yourself a Buddhist if you're holding the Noble Eightfold Path as your practice and understanding the Four Noble Truths, then getting to a certain degree of understanding of the Four Noble Truths, then this is being in this right view. They understand there are no ascetics or Brahmins outside of the Buddhist community who have the same kind of view that I have. So this is, you can just take that as it is. I'm not going to make any more comments about it. That is the third. Do you want to say something?
Sure. Bhikkhu Bodhi puts in parens the Buddhist dispensation.
Yeah.
And I actually really like dispensation, even though it's a kind of a word we don't use much. I like it better than community, because community is made up of people.
I don't know if you're on there.
It doesn't matter. Hopefully it's picking up the voice. Dispensation is really talking about the system of teaching.
Right.
And so we definitely have Buddhists who claim to be Buddhists who are practicing the dispensation. And we have people from other religions and things who are practicing Eightfold Path. And they would be more included in this text than someone who's a Buddhist by name. That's my opinion.
So, yes, this is the big disclaimer. This is our understanding.
Yes.
Our understanding of this teaching. So thank you. Okay. Furthermore, a noble disciple reflects, do I have the same nature as a person accomplished in view? And what Mendicants is the same, is the nature of a person accomplished in view. This is the nature of a person accomplished in view. Though they may fall into a kind of offense for which resolution is possible, they quickly disclose, clarify, and reveal it to the teacher or to a sensible spiritual companion. A sensible is wise. I know Monte Sujatos translates is Sipanya.
Diti Sampana.
No, this is Winyu, intelligent, wise person.
Oh, okay, that part.
Winyu Su. This is a Brahmachari, a fellow spiritual companion. So if someone has fallen into an offense who has the nature of somebody accomplished in view, they don't hide it. they don't say, I'll just put it off for a while. I don't want to talk about it. Something like that. Maybe just before the Patimokkha recitation, I'll find somebody. Yeah, and so right away they try to make amends. They say, oh, I fell into a fence. Sometimes it's accidental. Sometimes it's like, oh, I realized for that very second I was overcome with greed, and I took something that at the wrong time or something. It would be something minor that they can confess, and so they make amends. You often it's accidentally. Sometimes these things happen, or it can be just because there's some kind of conflict, like, well, I won't get into different kinds, but anyway, I won't get into it. There are different kinds of offenses that sometimes are hard to keep, and out of kindness to it, or not wanting to embarrass a layperson, you might do a minor offense.
I can give an example.
Give a quick example.
Okay, my quick example is I was visiting people who had not taken care of a monastic before, but they kind of knew about the rules, and they were really trying to get the meal together before the time, and they were really stressing out. And so we were really close to the time, but by the time we were done eating, we were past, and I said to them, I said, this is one of the most common rules when visiting friends and family, that we have to go back and confess. It's not a big deal. I appreciate your efforts in helping me support the rules. It just helped to, lessen it. And then I come back and I say, we were over the time, that type of thing.
Yeah, so that's and then the other monastic will usually be sympathetic.
Right.
And if some characters might say, well, you should just have put your spoon down and stopped. But then that's an embarrassment to the host if they can't finish your meal, because it's not, so
it's a choice.
So it's a choice. So there are things that are confessable that are harmless, really. But it would have maybe been more harm to the friends if she just said, no, I can't eat anymore. It's past the time, blah, blah, blah.
It's considering, is this for the increase of the faith of those who have faith, or bring faith to those who don't yet have it? And in those particular situations, you have to weigh that out. So if it had been a different person I was with, I may have made a different choice and stopped eating.
Okay, so it's at the time. So I think that's why I didn't see the
beautiful similes. Do you want to?
I'm just gonna read through this.
Okay.
It's because we got through most of it. Yeah. Okay, so having revealed, they refrain themselves in the future. So they try not to have the situations come up again, but it's almost impossible to prevent. But as much as if they did it intentionally, they definitely would have to refrain. Suppose there was a baby boy, if he puts his hand or foot on a burning coal, he quickly pulls it back. In the same way, this is the true nature of a person accomplished in view. Though they may still fall into a kind of offense for which resolution is possible, they quickly reveal it to the teacher or sensible spiritual companion. So it's like, they just recoil from breaking any of the precepts, like if there's a hot coal. And having revealed it, they restrain themselves in the future. They understand, I have the same nature as a person accomplished in view. This is their fourth knowledge. Furthermore, a disciple reflects, do I have the same nature as a person accomplished in view? And what, Mendicants, is the nature of a person accomplished in view? Though they might manage a diverse spectrum of duties for their spiritual companions, they still feel a keen regard for the training in higher ethics, higher mind, and higher wisdom. Suppose there was a cow with a baby calf. She watches her calf devotedly as she grazes. In the same way, this is the nature of a person accomplished in view, though they might manage a diverse spectrum of duties, their spiritual companions, for their spiritual companions, they still feel a keen regard for training in higher ethics, higher mind, and higher wisdom. So there's this balance here, and there's not seen really a separation between caring for the community. I was kind of getting confused with this because a cow was grazing and she's feeding herself, and then she has an eye on the baby. So which is nurturing herself in the higher ethics, higher it's adhicitta as a higher mind and higher wisdom, and which is caring for your spiritual companions. Look at doing your duties. So I was thinking that the grazing part, this is nourishing yourself, that her duty is to feed her body, and then she's looking after the development of her calf. And I've seen the cows in the field with their calves, and they're grazing, and she's keeping an eye on it, and then the calf will come and start to nurse. So she's simultaneously caring for her duties and nourishing. That's how I was seeing it, but it looks like what they're talking about, it's the opposite.
Oh, really? I took it exactly the way you did.
Yeah. So the grazing is nourishing your higher ethics, higher mind, and higher wisdom, being devoted to that. It's a beautiful simile. So there's this balance. It's like, but there's no separation. Like I was saying, that she could be nursing the cow and grazing, calf and grazing simultaneously. So doing your duties mindfully, making it all mutually supportive rather than, I can't wait till I get back on the cushion, or can't wait until I have a time to study the suttas or something. This care for your community is part of, and a support as well. So they understand I have the same, and it's a nature. This is coming naturally. This is what springs up naturally. As a person accomplished in view, this is their fifth knowledge. Furthermore, a disciple reflects, do I have the same strength as a person accomplished in view? And what, mendicants, is the strength of a person accomplished in view? The strength of a person accomplished in view is that when the teaching and training proclaimed by the realized one are being taught, they pay attention, apply mind, concentrate wholeheartedly, and actively listen. So this is your love to hear, to gain more wisdom, to understand the teaching. They pay attention, apply the mind, concentrate wholeheartedly, and actively listen. They understand I have the same strength as a person accomplished in view. This is their sixth knowledge. Furthermore, a noble disciple reflects, do I have the same strength as a person accomplished in view? And what, mendicants, is the strength of a person accomplished in view? The strength of a person accomplished in view is that when the teaching and training is proclaimed by the realized one are being taught, they find inspiration in the meaning and the teaching. They find joy connected with the teaching. So not only are they applying their mind and listening like, oh, I need to pass the test kind of a thing. And so you're eagerly trying to get the information. They're taking joy in it. They find joy connected with the teaching. They understand I have the same strength as a person accomplished in view. This is the seventh knowledge they have achieved that is noble and transcendent and not shared with ordinary people. When a noble disciple has these 7 factors, they have properly investigated their nature through the realization of the fruit of stream entry. This is Sotapanna. Sotapanna is here somewhere. Sotapati. It's Sotapati. Okay. A personal experience of the fruit of stream entry, personal realization of the fruition of stream entry. So a noble disciple with these 7 factors has the fruit of stream entry. This is what the Buddha said, satisfied, the mendicants approved with what he said. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So these are wonderful qualities. And I'm sorry we had to kind of rush through that last part, but so we want to take the share away, stop recording.
And now stop recording.
Okay, so thank you all for listening. We're just going to stop recording now. Is it up at the top? Up at the top.
That's I thought